Heard the word historic in Trey's piece. Why is this historic? The U.S. striking in Iran proper, three different places.
Well, first off, since 1979, this is the first time we've ever struck Iran, certainly in this way. We've actually launched these major strikes, Tomahawk missiles, taking out nuclear facilities, and then B-2 bombers, strategic bombers. You got to remember, they're not just planes. These are planes that are designed to carry nuclear weapons. This is the plane that we use when Armageddon is upon us, if you will. They didn't have nuclear weapons, obviously. They had these unique massive ordnance penetrators that have been so much focus of interest, these GBU-57s that burrow deep within the earth to destroy these designed with places like Bordeaux, actually with Bordeaux and some other places in mind. And it's this unique capability. Israelis don't have it. Nobody else has it anywhere in the world. Only we do. And the delivery system is the B-2 bomber. Again, the only thing that the U.S. has anywhere in the world. And we brought all of this to basically eliminate the ability of Iran to make a nuclear weapon. Now, that's pretty darned historic because Iran has been playing with trying to build a nuclear weapon for a very long time and for decades. And we have now kinetically taken that off. So that's very historic. It's also historic in that it's also opened up the possibility that the U.S. could get pulled into a war with Iran. That's historic. Some would say ominous that's taken place, but it was a calculated risk that we assumed in doing what we did. And I think depending on what happens in Iran, depending on what happens with the regime there, the longevity of the regime there, historians may come back and look at this as a big turning point in terms of Iranian history. And by the way, if Iran ceases to be this nemesis in the region, ceases to be this fomenter of terrorism for not just in the Middle East, but terrorism all over the world, but particularly in the Middle East, this that's been supporting all of these extremist Shiite militia groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, was behind the perpetrator, was basically behind the October 7th attack being able to take place. If this is, and of course, not to mention the Houthis, basically stopping shipping in one of the globe's most important sea lanes for the amount of time that they had. If this is taken off, it changes the entire strategic picture of the Middle East because Iran is so important as a provider of oil and also in terms of location for China, because they're such an important supporter of Russia in providing them drones and ballistic missiles and everything else. This could be one of those pivotal points where we see a big change, the second, third order effects of what just happened. And we could say this completely changed the map across the world in terms of strategic balance of power. It could be something that big, but then again, we'll have to see.
Regime change keeps coming up a lot. What does our largely American audience need to know about the Iranian regime? And conversely, what do they need to know about the general Iranian public at large, the populace?
Well, first thing is the Iranian public at large, about 89% of them can't stand the regime. They hate him.
Here soon, so we're gonna see what he's got to say.
They've tried
Mr.
multiple
Trump
times
himself.
on the streets, to basically overthrow, basically create enough social gravitas to overthrow a regime. They have not been able to pull that off. And the regime has been absolutely horrific in its response, sweeping people off the streets, doing these executions, very public way of making a point, imprisoning political dissenters, everything. I mean, they're a very unpopular regime for a lot of all the reasons that a regime would be very unpopular. They're also this regime that does not allow any sort of free elections or anything we consider. they scope in the election, so only the parties or the candidates that they will hand-pick
Man, it ain't no
are
telling
ever
how
allowed
this
to
is
show
gonna
up on the
end.
ballot, and then they pretty much put their thumb on the scale to make sure that whomever they want is a person that's elected. And then over the government is this, the supreme leader and his council, which are all a bunch of theocrats that basically control the country. So that's what it is, and it's this Shiite extremist belief. Since 1979, when they overthrew the Shah of Iran, they have basically built their brand on two things: destruction of Israel and death to America. That's their two favorite bumper sticker phrases. That's what they kind of identify with. And this constant, never-ending struggle, some would say war, if you will, although technically in Arabic, well, I should say jihad is an Arabic term, and jihad actually means struggle. It doesn't always mean war per se, although when we say jihad, we normally mean war. And I should mention that Arabic is not the predominant language in Iran. It's actually Farsi, so maybe it's kind of a moot point. But anyway, they have kind of built their brand on this thing, that they have this constant struggle, conflict, whatever, with Israel and the West. And part of that goes back into the history of Iran. The Shah of Iran, when he came into power in 1953, kind of the U.S. and Great Britain were behind getting him into power because there was another guy in there who we felt was too favorable, or was basically leaning towards the Soviet Union, different era, Cold War. I don't want to get into all the details, but the feeling was that the U.S. had basically, fomented a coup to put the Shah into power. They've put the Shah in power, and they've aimed everything at the West. They've been anti-Western the entire time, and so that's what that is. That's what that regime is all about. And so right now, all the things that underlie that regime, all the things that underlie, has now taken the thing they've always pointed at is like, we might be able to develop a nuclear weapon. We might be a member of the nuclear club. We might be, quote, invincible because we have nuclear capability. That's what they've kind of held out for a very long period of time. Well, in one fell swoop, we went in there and eliminated their capability to do that, as near as we can tell right now. And that's going to have, along with Israel literally controlling the skies over Iran, that has, some significant impact on the ability of this regime to maintain itself in power.
Al, we appreciate your time. I will say that it's now 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We anticipate that the president will step up to this podium any moment now. We don't know if he's going to come out any second now, any minute now, but I'm going to keep you on the line here, Hal, until we see President Trump walk out. Let's ask one more time, what exactly are you going to be looking to hear from the president? This is going to be the first time we've heard him on camera since we heard about this. What we've heard from him on social media is that we have completed what he calls very successful attacks on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. That includes Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Hal, it looks like President Trump, Vice President Vance, and others. It looks like Secretary Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio here. Let's listen to the president after the strikes on Iran.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I was expecting more.
All right, there you have it. President Trump, in very brief remarks there, saying that Iran's nuclear program has been completely obliterated. Standing there, addressing the nation, behind him, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and also the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us here on this momentous night in American history, and we're going to keep it going. We're also going to be showing you in replay that very speech in case you might have missed it live. We're going to be showing it to you throughout the course of the evening, also bringing on guests.